Here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud: something about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's children just doesn't add up. And no, this isn't about petty gossip or royal fanfiction. This is about birth records, legal inconsistencies, and a growing mountain of questions that, frankly, the palace seems a little too eager to dodge. It all starts with a strange little detail tucked away in Archie's birth certificate. See, in the UK, just like in most countries' birth certificates are standardized. They include the full legal names of the parents, both for formality and legal standing. But in Archie's case, Meghan did something almost no other royal mother has done. She had her own full name removed. Instead of Rachel Meghan Markle's certificate simply lists her as Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. Now, on its own, maybe that's just a weird personal preference. Maybe she thought it sounded more official, more regal. But then, just 11 days after Archie was born, she had the record corrected. Not updated, not amended, corrected as in the palace. Or Meghan herself felt something was wrong enough to legally alter the document. That moved quiet, as it was raised red flags for a lot of people who follow this stuff closely. Why erase your identity from your own son's record? Every other royal birth certificate, from Queen Elizabeth down to Princess Charlotte, includes a full maiden name of the mother. It's standard procedure. And then there's Lily O'Lily. This is where the rabbit hole really takes a sharp turn. While the press has always referred to her as being born in California, there's evidence suggesting the paperwork points somewhere else. Entirely Colorado sounds random, right? But it's not. Colorado has different laws when it comes to surrogacy, and unlike California, it's more flexible about whose name appears on the birth certificate. That's important because when the birth certificate for late Diana Mountbatten Windsor started circulating, there was one very strange thing about it. Instead of Prince Harry's legal name, Henry Charles Albert David, it's simply listed as Royal Highness the Duke of Sussex. That's not just technically wrong, it might actually void the certificate's legal strength. Here's why that matters. In the U.S., birth certificates are legal documents. They aren't just keepsakes or mementos. They're a foundation for things like citizenship, custody, inheritance rights. And in the eyes of U.S. law, a title means absolutely nothing. You can't walk into a DMV or a passport office and claim to be someone's father by saying, "Oh yeah, I'm the Duke of Sussex." They'll ask for your actual legal name. No title, no fluff, just a name on your ID. So why did Harry and Meghan file a certificate that listed his title instead of his legal name? The most generous explanation is ignorance, the most realistic strategy. Because if Harry's legal name isn't on the certificate, he may have no legal parental rights over Lily in the United States. And you can bet Meghan knows that. Some say it's an oversight, others believe it's deliberate, especially since Meghan kept her full name on Lily's certificate, unlike what she did with Archie. That difference between the two kids, one with no mother listed by name, the other with no father listed correctly, feels way too calculated to be a coincidence. And that brings us to the biggest twist of all the rumors of Surrogate. There's mounting chatter that the real woman who gave birth to Lily isn't Meghan at all. A 23-year-old woman in Colorado whose name hasn't been officially released is rumored to have been the surrogate, and the timing, location, and legal paperwork all start to align just a little too neatly to dismiss that supposed surrogate. Her name isn't in the headlines yet, but sources close to the situation have hinted a young woman who gave birth in Colorado in early June 2021, just days before Libet's official birth date. She reportedly signed strict NDAs and hasn't been heard from since. It gets even weirder when you realize Colorado's legal setup makes it incredibly easy to assign parental rights directly to the intended parents on a birth certificate without ever listing the surrogate, unlike California, where the surrogate's name usually appears on the initial documentation. Colorado law favors anonymity in these arrangements, which might explain why the name that isn't there matters just as much as the ones that are. And let's not forget Meghan's alleged health story. She publicly claimed to suffer from postpartum preeclampsia, one of the most dangerous complications of childbirth. In her own podcast, she described it as deadly. That kind of condition usually results in strict bed rest medical supervision, and in many cases long hospital stays. But oddly enough, right around the time Lily was born, Meghan was spotted out and about no visible signs of recovery, no protective protocol. Meanwhile, Prince Harry was photographed playing polo in Aspen, Colorado, just weeks later smiling healthy, living it up with a man whose wife nearly died in childbirth, be galloping around fields swinging mallets, and taking selfies. The optics don't match the story now. Let's look at the alleged birth certificate itself. It wasn't a full certified U.S. birth certificate. It was a certificate of live birth, something hospitals issue to confirm that a child was born alive. That document, while valid for initiating official paperwork, isn't the final birth record. The final birth certificate is issued later by the state. So why is no official copy of Lily's full California birth certificate ever surfaced? Why did the media only get the preliminary document? It leaves room for speculation that the final version was either never released publicly or doesn't exist under the same terms. That brings up another shady angle: Harry's name. If his legal name is absent from the certificate, he could be considered a legal stranger to Lily in U.S. courts. No parental rights, no custody claims, no legal power in case of emergency. The man literally has no documented link to his daughter, just a title, and titles don't hold up in American courtrooms. So if this was all just a paperwork blunder, why hasn't it been corrected in the years? Since it wouldn't take much, just an official amendment filing. But nothing has been updated. It's like they don't want to correct it. And then there's Archie's case, which raises even more questions. Meghan's sudden removal of her own full name from his UK birth certificate now looks suspicious in hindsight. Could that have been a calculated move to distance herself from parental documentation? In case of future legal battles, in most cases a mother adds her maiden name to provide clarity and legal standing. But Meghan erased hers, leaving only her title behind. And when asked about it later, she claimed the palace forced her to make the change. If that's true, the next logical question is, why would the palace want her identity off the record of her firstborn child? These aren't minor details. We're talking about official birth documents, the kind of paperwork that determines inheritance rights, succession lines, legal parenthood. Yet with both kids, the documentation looks like it was arranged to be legally ambiguous, almost as if each parent only has partial claim to one child and not the other. What kind of family arrangement does that, unless there's something they're hiding, something big, something deeper than a typo or a title? Then comes a twist that makes everything spiral into absolute madness. According to someone close to the situation, Prince Harry might have more than just legal distance from Lily. There's now serious speculation that he might not even be the biological father. On its face, that sounds outrageous. But when you line up the facts, it doesn't feel impossible, starting with Harry's medical history. As a child, Harry reportedly suffered from a hernia complication that allegedly involved one of his testicles. While never confirmed by the palace, this rumor has lingered in the background of royal gossip for decades. If that complication affected his fertility, it would explain why surrogacy was even on the table in the first place, and why Meghan might have leaned on egg and sperm donors rather than their own genetic material. The idea isn't just speculation. It's legally relevant. In the U.S., parental rights are built on either biological connection or legal intent. If Harry didn't contribute his DNA and also didn't list his legal name on the birth certificate, it strips him of both roots to parental legitimacy. Meghan, on the other hand, secured her position on Lily's paperwork using her full legal identity. If a divorce were ever to happen, Harry wouldn't just face a custody battle. He'd have no recognized parental claim at all. He could be legally erased from her life with the stroke of a pen. And maybe, just maybe, that was a plan. Observers have pointed out something even stranger. Meghan seems more publicly affectionate and emotionally invested in Leet than Archie. There's speculation that the reason could be as simple as biology. If Leet was carried by a surrogate but created from Meghan's own eggs and another donor, she'd still be her biological child. Archie, meanwhile, might not be. That would also explain why Meghan reportedly distanced herself emotionally from her son, but clings fiercely to her daughter. It sounds cold, but there's a visible difference in how she presents them to the world, how she speaks about them, and even how they're featured in her media appearances. Let's also talk about the timeline. Meghan claimed she had a miscarriage in July 2020 and was seen shortly after that visiting what many believe was a dental clinic. But this particular clinic in Beverly Hills is also known for high-end fertility services. A source even pointed out the pouch Meghan carried that day resembled a cold pack commonly used after egg retrieval procedures. The appearance was casual, almost staged, and if she had truly suffered a traumatic miscarriage, her quick public outing and demeanor didn't match the gravity of the claim, the supposed birth video of Liliet that Meghan tried to promote also raised eyebrows. It lacked any signs of pandemic restrictions that were firmly in place during the supposed time of birth. Hospitals in California had tight protocols, masks were mandatory, partners were often restricted from even being in the same room. Yet the video shows none of that, no masks, no medical limitations, just a clean, soft lit scene that looks more like a staged photo shoot than a hospital memory. Even the hospital in question had stated that. During that period, visits were highly controlled. So how was Meghan, a public figure, exempt from those rules? Every thread leads to another, and they all tug in the same direction toward a highly controlled, highly curated narrative, one that keeps changing, dodging, and reshaping as new questions emerge, whether it's the strange omissions on legal documents, the inconsistent health stories, or the oddly timed public appearances. Everything points to a bigger truth hiding in plain sight. And when that truth finally surfaces, whatever it is, it won't just be a royal family matter, it'll be a global reckoning. Because when your children sit in the line of succession, your secrets become ever